Hi, I'm Dr. Sylvia Peregrino, and this is Entre Nosotras, Latina Voices. Today, I'm honored to have Mr. Ted Carver, who is one of our theater faculty here at the college, and he's here to talk about one of the productions for June LGBT Month. And so, welcome, Mr. Carver.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peregrino, for having me.
Thank you for being our guest. Could you tell us a little bit about your theater background, where you went to school, what experiences you've had?
I am completely homegrown. I went to Isleta High School, and I graduated a long time ago. We'll just leave it at that. And then I was enrolled at UT El Paso, and I got a bachelor's degree, a double major in English and theater, and a master's degree in theater. And so I'm an El Paso kid. That's how I started, and I'm still here.
That's wonderful. And tell us a little bit about the theater program at EPCC.
We are a two-year program, of course. We have two different venues that students can study in. They can either study technical theater with Dom Pagano, our tech director, who is housed out at Transmountain at the Forum Theater, or they can study performance and script analysis with me, and that's at Valle Verde. And so we have two different options for students to look at. They can also do both if they choose. They're encouraged to take stagecraft with Dom. They're encouraged to take acting 1 and acting 2 with me, script analysis, things like that. So we provide entry-level courses in theater for students in both areas of technical and performance theater.
That's wonderful, because I think too often we don't see enough representations of different groups in Hollywood. And so that's great that they could get their foundation here at EPCC.
We try to be as not only inclusive, of course, by parameters of the college, but also we try to be as encouraging of students to make them realize that you may not make $1 million as an actor, but you can make a living in technical theater. So we try to get them to understand both sides of the art form.
When it comes to some of the plays that EPCC puts on, are those exclusively for students, or can members of the community also audition?
Oh, we have open auditions for the community of El Paso. We, of course, encourage and focus on our students to get them on that stage, because that's part of what our program is all about. But we certainly welcome community theater actors and actors from UT El Paso and other venues in the city to come and work with us as well. And I would be willing to say probably for every show we've done since I've been here as the coordinator, I think we've had a community theater actor in almost every production.
That's great. And so how did COVID impact the theater program? I know we're hopefully getting out of it, but how was it for your department?
We were in performance for The Good Doctor out at the Forum. And we performed our first weekend, and that's when we started hearing, during the latter part of rehearsals, we started hearing all the rumblings about COVID, but nothing was really definitively said. And our spring show always backs up against spring break. So that first weekend, we performed normally. We had nice size houses. The second weekend came along, and in those 4 days, that Monday through Thursday period, my dean, who at the time was Blaine Primozic, said, I have no idea what's going to happen. And so Blaine and I were in touch all the time that week. And it probably wasn't until Friday afternoon at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Blaine sent me a text and said, you can do the show, but you can only have 40 people in the theater, and they have to sit apart. And that was the beginning of COVID for us. And after that, I looked into all kinds of things that I got emails from different organizations, professional organizations, and I got information from different people. Oh, we're doing this, so we can do that. We can help you do theater this way. And I went to Dom Pagano, who's our tech director, and I said, and Dom is a great guy, and easy to work with. And he said, what's going on? And I said, we need to do theater, even though we can't have audiences. What can we do? He said, well, we can stage a play and we'll film it. We have a mass comm, department. They have video production studies. They can come in and they can film what we do, and we'll put it on YouTube. So there were parameters we had to follow, Dr. Peregrino, because of that. We had to, first of all, we had to do plays that we could either get the rights to stream, which was very difficult in the beginning of COVID, or we had to do plays that were in the public domain. So that's the route we chose. And we did our first endeavor was a little one-act play by Eugene O'Neill, the American playwright, called Thirst, which was one of his beginning plays, one of his little one-acts that he wrote. And we did that, and it's gotten lots and lots of hits on YouTube and been successful and gotten lots of positive commentary. So we did a series of plays that we were able legally to put on YouTube, or the El Paso Community College website on YouTube. And we did Thirst, we did The Romancers, which is a play that's been translated. It was based on an Edmond Rostand play done in French. So we did a series of those, and they were pretty successful. And what it did is it allowed us to do theater, allowed us to go through the rehearsal process, part of which occurred on Teams, and then part of which occurred face-to-face, socially distanced, wearing masks. But it allowed us to keep on doing theater, and we were able to teach students. Probably the most important thing we taught students through that entire process is that you can do theater under almost any circumstances. You just have to find what fits and what is safe at the time. So that's what we did. That's what we did throughout the pandemic, and are still going strong.
No, and that's wonderful, because I went to school in New York, so I've been to some of the Broadway plays, and unfortunately New York closed.
Yeah, it
and
shut
so
down.
all those people were out of work and didn't see when the end would. I think now the shows have come back.
Right, they're opening up again. I think.
Yeah, but I'm so glad that you were able to find an innovative way to still get the students to perform and doing it while safe.
It was just an important thing for us to do, creatively, artistically, educationally, I think.
And so now with the new plays that are in production, are you still doing any COVID safety protocols?
Some. We wear masks during rehearsals frequently. But when we go into what we call Tech Week, which is the rehearsal a week before the show opens, we generally do not have masks on when we go into Tech, because many things happen during Tech Week. You're checking lights, you're checking voices. Sometimes we mic our shows, and so the mask and then the mic and then all of this, it gets very complicated. So we try to be safe. I encourage casts and crew to always, do what they need to do to stay safe and healthy. But generally speaking, at least when we go into performance, we are not masking any longer.
How about the audience? Are you still maintaining social distancing? We
encourage audience members to wear masks, and we encourage them to stay socially distanced. We do not map out the theater space for audiences, but we are only, up until now, we've only been allowed to have 100 people in that theater. The theater seats at 350, so people can seat themselves in a manner which is safe. As the college gets closer and closer to the fall, we are assuming that we will be going back to fairly normal protocol, and so we'll be having audiences that come in and will not be restricted.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
And so how do you decide which plays to put on?
A variety of things. We are going to be doing Streetcar Named Desire in the fall. And that's, of course, the classic 75-year-old play. It's going to celebrate its 75th anniversary for its premiere on Broadway, by Tennessee Williams. A seminal piece of American theater. It changed the way we looked at women on the stage, changed the way we look at language on the stage. And so we're doing that in the fall. And so what Dom and I talk about is, what can we do in the fall that will give students a more traditional experience, perhaps a more serious experience, more dramatic, and things like that. And then in the spring, we try to do something that's a little bit more contemporary, a little more lighthearted, that will give students a different experience on that stage, doing a comedy. So we try to balance it out as something serious perhaps in the fall, maybe a little more traditional, a little more classical, and then something that perhaps is a little more contemporary in the spring. And then in the summer, it's what we feel is necessary to be done. And so that kind of gets us up to what we're doing in June, which is the LGBTQ show.
And so tell us about the LGBTQ show.
In celebration of Gay Pride, June, here in El Paso, we are producing the production, the stage play of Kiss of the Spider Woman by Manuel Puig. It's translated by Allan Baker. And Kiss of the Spider Woman, of course, was made into a Broadway musical, which won Tony Awards and was very successful. What we are doing is the production, the stage show, not the musical, but the regular stage show. Only has 2 characters in it, 2 men, one named Molina and one named Valentin, and they carry the weight of the show for almost 2 hours. It is traditionally seen as a piece of gay theater or LGBTQ theater because the character of Molina is kind of a flamboyant, over-the-top character who happens to be gay. And so we thought that it would be a really good show. It's known because of the musical, but it's also educational. It's also something, it's a tour de force piece for actors. And I think it'll be very appealing to the community as well.
And so speaking of the LGBT community, why do you think it's important for the plays that you pick or that you as in the committee pick, why is it important to have representation?
Well, because theater is not limited to a certain group of people. Theater is for everyone, whether it's in production and I have a variety of people on the stage, or it's in technical theater and I have a variety of people backstage or in the booth working the show, or it's in the audience, or it's the actors on the stage. It doesn't make any difference. Theater is for everybody, and that's something that I think maybe people don't understand. They associate theater with something that is mystical and separate from their world. And I always tell my theater appreciation students the same thing. Prior to COVID, we would have them come see a show, and some of them would be appalled that they'd have to go to a live production. And I would always say, the only reason we're up there doing that work is so you will come and see it. That's the only reason theater exists. And so it's not limited to a certain group of people. And it's important for us to give representation to everyone on that stage, either as an actor or as a character. And it's the same thing, we teach this in theater appreciation, that theater, we have Asian theater, and we have Chicano or Latinx theater, and we have theater of color. Theater represents the entire world. It is what the French used to call tranche de vie, which means slice of life. And so if you don't have that slice of life representing everybody on that stage, and you don't have real life on that stage, you don't have theater. So I think it's important for the gay community to be represented, the Southern community, the community of color, the Latino community. Everyone should be able to see themselves in some way on that stage, because that's what theater is all about. It's about us seeing ourselves on that stage.
And I think I'm familiar at least with A Streetcar Named Desire, and a little bit familiar with A Kiss of the Spider Woman. Mm-hmm. And I think there are universal themes there, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think that Spider Woman, one of the central themes is that need for companionship, that need to be able to reach out to someone and find someone who will listen to what our ideas are and what our innermost thoughts are. And that's what happens with these 2 men. And I do feel, and I do want to say this now, that the play does deal with adult themes, and it may not be appropriate for children. Parents certainly need to take into consideration that the play may not be the correct play to bring a child to, but that would be a parent's decision and not mine. But it does deal with adult themes, but it also deals with the desperate need for people to reach out and find companionship and communication in a really truly desolate atmosphere. And I think Streetcar is much the same place. Of course, Blanche comes into that story looking for, a haven, a place where she can be safe and where people will take care of her. And I think we've all done that upon occasion in our lives, looking for some place where we're safe in the world. And I think that's one of the things we can say about the play and about maybe theater in general. It gives us the ability to connect with characters that maybe mirror some of our concerns and our ideas.
And so living here in Texas, where we are facing transgender legislation, where our governor directed an agency to investigate parents who are providing gender-affirming care to their kids. Are you concerned that that the play has an LGBT theme to it, or?
Well, I always say the same thing. I mean, if you don't think the play is something you want to see, then you shouldn't buy a ticket and come see it. And I'm firmly committed to this idea that theater is a representation of our lives, good, bad, and indifferent. And I don't think there's any way you can say, oh, this play should not be done because it has a gay character in it. We walk down the street and encounter gay people every day, and people of color, and people of Latino descent. And what is that all about? If you don't like somebody, then you're offended by who they are just by the nature of their origin. Then I don't think the problem rests in that person. I think it rests in you. That's always been my assessment of the situation. So if you don't think the play is something you want to see, then don't buy a ticket and don't come. I think that's the safeguard.
Yeah, they can choose not to attend, but I do think that it's important. I know statistically speaking, about 10% of the population is LGBT in the U.S. I know that I was looking up some data in preparation for this, and even here in Texas, we have over 460,000 same-sex couples that declared that on the census, on the last census.
Sure.
So I think there's definitely an audience for it, and a population for it.
Absolutely. And if one person comes who thought, I won't like this play, or this play is not something that I believe in or that I support, and they come to it for some reason and they watch it and it changes the way they think, I've done my job as a director, and the cast has done their job as performers, because we've reached out and touched someone and made them reassess their thought process. I think that's what theater can do for us.
And maybe also to look at the humanity behind everybody, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
As a former theater geek, do you encourage other people to still stay involved with theater, even if it's something that they did very young? Absolutely.
I've had people come and audition for shows, and on audition forms you say, please list representative theatrical experience. And frequently I'll have someone say, oh, I was in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, when I was in high school, or something like that. Or that happens in my theater appreciation class all the time. I always say on one of the assignments, tell me what you've done in theater, if anything. And they'll say, oh, I was in a middle school production, or I was in the Christmas pageant in church, and that kind of thing. And I always say, you never know how life brings us into situations. But generally speaking, you're there for a reason, and you should give yourself every chance to benefit from that opportunity. So I always encourage people to come and audition. I had a young man show up the other day at auditions, and he had never done anything with the theater. And it always makes me happy to see that, because it means, oh, this is a possibility for an actor or a techie or whatever.
And so you even take techies that have never done anything before?
We will train people to do it even if they've never done it. Absolutely.
Well, that's a wonderful experience or opportunity in case somebody needs a hobby or an outlet for their creative juices. Let me ask you this. Tell us a little bit more about the details of the play. When is it happening? I do know that here at the college we aim to be inclusive, so
Absolutely.
I think you even have some performances that are for in American Sign Language with an interpreter.
That's right. The show runs June 17th through June 26th. Fridays and Saturdays at 8 p.m., Sundays at 2:30, so we only do weekend performances. The show will be performed at the Transmountain Forum Theater at the EPCC Forum campus, and that's at 9570 Gateway Boulevard North. When you get to the Forum Theater, if you've never been there before, the easiest thing to do is to get off the freeway on Diana, go through the light at Diana, do not turn, and when you get through Diana, on the right-hand side, you'll see the entrance to the large parking lot for the college. Go into that large parking lot and go toward the flagpole. That's the easiest landmark to follow. Go toward the flagpole and park somewhere in that area. If you walk past the flagpole toward the building, you'll see the entrance to the building. Go into the large atrium, which kind of looks very antiseptic. And then if you walk across that atrium, you'll see the entrance to the theater. Ticket prices for this production are going to be a non-perishable food item. We are not charging money for this production. We are asking you to bring a non-perishable food item per person that's coming to see the show. And those proceeds will all go to the Tejano Foodbank here at the college. We are also lucky enough on this production to be working in collaboration with the Diversity and Inclusion Program. We are working with the Tejano Passport Program. We are working with the Tejano Foodbank, and we're so delighted that we always have the support of the EPCC ASL Interpreter Preparation Program, which is run by the wonderful Jennifer Dahlgren. And so we feel so lucky to work with all of those wonderful programs here on campus and have them supporting the work that we do.
In case people don't know, what's the Tejano Food Pantry?
It's a food bank here on campus, available to students if they need it. And I don't know if it's available to the community. Perhaps you would know that, I'm not sure.
I think it's more geared towards students.
Students.
And it's at Valle Verde.
Right, and it provides food for people who may be in need of it. And we before the pandemic, which seems to be the phrase we use all the time. Before the pandemic, we did a Christmas show of some sort and always charged a food item, and we would donate all that. So I thought with this program, in which I find to be the show with which we are absolutely and most actively reaching out into the community, that we would benefit our own food bank by getting foodstuffs for them. So I am so lucky. I am the luckiest man on the planet. I work with the best people, I work for the best college, and I have the best time. I mean, you never feel like you're going to work if you're doing what you love, and that's what I'm doing.
That's wonderful. And I can see that you have that passion and enthusiasm for theater, so I'm sure that the students are benefiting from it. Could you talk a little bit about some of the success that you've had with your students that we talked about a little bit earlier?
We have a student who's at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts right now. He's studying there. I have another student who's going to AMDA in California. I have a number of students who've gone off to UTEP. One of them is studying stage management and is incredibly successful and will probably blaze a trail through professional theater in not too many years. So we are so lucky that we have students who are really not only successful theatrically, but students who are successful as students and people, and students who are successful as people. And we see their success just manifold over and over again.
Well, that's wonderful that they got their foundation here at EPCC and have moved on to greener pastures as well. We're almost coming to a close, but I wanted to, since it's for LGBT month in June, anything else you want to add about theater and how it supports the LGBT community?
It gives us a mirror for ourselves. That's what theater does. And we will see ourselves on that stage, and we'll see our own emotions on that stage. That's what it's all about. And the thing I want to say is, don't be shy. You know, theater's there for everybody, no matter who you are. Come and see what we do. We are doing theater again, live in that theater, in that space out at Transmountain. Come and experience what we have to offer. We're a great program. We work hard. We have great students, and I think we're very fortunate to have what we have here.
And I think it's great that you're asking for a food donation, so it's for a good cause, and it'll go back to students that are food insecure, that now with COVID could be more because of unemployment and things like that. So
Absolutely.
That's wonderful that you're still making, this could be a date night for people,
Sure.
and this way it's also something that's affordable and helping us locally. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add.
You know, we, as I said, we have open auditions for the community as well as for our students. You're welcome to come and audition. And if you're just curious about theater and you want to learn about it, EPCC is a great place to start doing that. We offer theater appreciation classes, which are kind of basic surveys of the entire art form. We also offer Acting 1 and Acting 2 classes. We offer stagecraft classes, script analysis, so we have something for everybody. So if you're interested in learning a little bit about theater, please come and join us.
That's a wonderful segue to the end of our show. And I know that I'm curious to see the performance. I've never seen it performed, and so I really want to take advantage of this opportunity. I want to thank you for taking the time to come to our show, and I want to encourage everybody to attend not only this production, but the production in the fall of A Streetcar Named Desire. I'm sure everybody's seen the Marlon Brando version,
Marlon
right?
Brando movie.
And hopefully other people. and so hopefully this will be an opportunity to show people how it's done in a live version, right?
Absolutely.
So thank you for being here. I am Dr. Sylvia Peregrino. This is your show, Entre Nosotras, Latina Voices. Join us next time. And if you want to catch our previous shows, please go to EPCC TV YouTube, where you can catch some of our previous shows. Thank you. Thank you, Ted.